Most and Christ bless. So this is Officer Duell. We're out here in Liverpool. And who do I have with me?
Malachi.
So I've got Malachi here with me. So Malachi, we've obviously been talking a little bit. And the conversation that we're talking about is about violence across Liverpool. Going to youth violence, how it affects our communities, all of those things. And I wanted to get your opinion, you know, like your unfiltered opinion. How is it here? What do you see that is a major problem that we have to try and overcome down here?
Well, basically, like the music the kids listen to. They've all got role models and they listen to this trap music and stuff like that, and they'll let it influence them. The movies even. And I notice how enough of them want to run around, they're stabbing each other, they're arguing, they're smoking weed, you know what I mean? The brain isn't even developed yet to be smoking them kind of thing. And they're disrespectful to the parents. They ain't got no love for nobody. You get me? Because it starts at home, innit?
Exactly, and you're right. Everything that you said is on point because it starts at home. If the parents aren't showcasing the right things for the children, they're just gonna go wayward and do whatever they want. And then from that's where it comes to the music. I can listen to this. The music is influencing my mind because, like you mentioned, from a young age, if you're hearing things like stab up a man, you know, bore up a man, or whatever it is, you're gonna say, yeah, that's how life is supposed to be. And then that's what makes the violence, you know, sort of becomes actually a major thing, contributing factor across the community. So yeah, you're 100% right. And in terms of what you believe we could start doing to help fix up this this community, what do you think the solutions are?
People need to learn the book, the Bible, properly. You get me? Because it brings order. Yeah, and it brings respect. You get me? And it's basic things you should be doing. And for the people to know, and to know that certain things came out, like before certain stuff happened, which they call prophecy, well then there's no other book that does it like that. You know what I mean? There's no other book.
Yeah, exactly right. The Bible does have a lot of prophetic things that you can actually see as tangible. You know what I'm saying? Things that showcases that the Bible is real. You don't get that anywhere else. You don't find it in any other books, but apart from the Lord's scriptures. So that shows you that you're dealing with something powerful, something true, you know? So that's exactly the raw facts. And in terms of now, things for, I would say, the future of what you see for children, what needs to be implemented? Do we now need to have things in place for these kids to stop acting up? How can we really stop, you know, pulling them out of it?
We need unity. You get me? We need unity and we need people to come together, because without unity, like, what have you got? You need the unity. These children are children. They feel like they need to mix in with the crowd and with the gangs, and for man to support them, and it's always my brother's got my back. But sometimes when the issue hits the fan, your brother ain't got your back. You know what I mean? So we need a tight community. They need to know that people care on a real thing and stop the front. You know what I mean? Unity.
Yeah, 100%. And I like what you said about that. And I want to just showcase one or two scriptures very quickly. First and foremost, let me get unity in Zephaniah, because it's important for us to get that. Like you mentioned, that unity is important. And then we'll go into a little bit about the violence in the neighborhoods and how the children are not listening to their own parents. So let's get that, Zephaniah 2:1.
Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
So you see that the Bible is saying gather yourselves together. These children are not gathering together, but if they are gathering together, they're gathering together in evil. Let's get them Proverbs 1. Start from verse 5 or 4 or 5, around there. Because when they gather together, you're supposed to gather together in one consent, and that consent should be of good. But our people, we tend to gather together in evil. This is what it says.
Proverbs chapter 1, let's say verse 10. It says, My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, Come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us let privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one curse. My son, walk thou not in the way with them, refrain thy foot from their path, for their feet run to evil and make haste to shed innocent blood.
You see that? That's literally everything that we've talked about. They just is the Lord, like we talked about prophecy. The Lord just spit everything out, line by line. Listen, if sinners entice you, meaning people that want to break God's commandments entice you, don't go with them. Why? Because they're like weights in the corner to shed what? Kill, to shed blood. And then it talks about the spoils for the jewels. That's the gold, the necklaces, that's the watches, that's your electrical equipment, whatever it is. All of that to take, all for what? All for just a small fraction of money.
Verse 18.
Keep reading.
Verse 18. And they lay wait for their own blood, and they look privily for their own lives.
You see that? That's why he emphasized for their own blood, meaning your own people. Do you understand? So you're going around and you're killing your own people. But that's not unity. Do you understand? And that's why we have to come out of that mindset. That's why it's important for us to have leaders in the pillars, leaders as pillars in the community, so that we can actually start showing these children, listen, this is the way. Do you understand? Not the way of killing.
Now these are the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that you may do them in the land whither you go to possess it.
So just a quick one. The Lord is saying these are the statutes and commandments that you're supposed to do in whatever land you are in, right? And now this is one of them.
Verse 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
So the reason why I'm going on to here is because we as men, we are the pillars of our society. So what you're saying is we shall teach them to our children. If you don't have children, you may have nieces, you may have nephews. If you don't have any of those, you may have friends that have young children. But we as the pillars of society, we are supposed to teach them diligently to our children. Come on.
And thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So it's saying at any point you talk about those laws, right? So you just use a little thing. So you see something happening, and then you tell your son, did you see what happened? That person took something from that store. What does that mean? Oh, that's called stealing. Does the Bible say do that? No, the Bible says thou shalt not steal. It gets them to know. They can see actions and they can start putting things in their minds. Do you understand? Keep reading about what the reason for that is.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. It says, verse 10, and it shall be when the Lord thy God hath brought thee into the land which he swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you.
So that's the whole point, so that we keep it in our minds, and then we don't serve other gods. Serving other gods going into doing our own things as well. That goes into stealing. That's doing our own thing. The Bible says don't do it. That goes into you doing whatever you feel like. Yeah, do you understand? So that's the whole point. So that's why we're out here, to showcase things like that should not be going on across any part of our communities. Do you understand? Do you have anything to add after this?
Well, just basically to come to this truth, man. Come to this truth, come to this word. Our people to get the children in order, because that's what the parent is meant to do. That's the parental guidance, and a lot of children, they ain't got that parental guidance. You know what I mean? And I hear a lot of people say, boy, this book was written by a white man, or this book was just made up and there's so many. Now you need to do your proper study and know who to go to help you on the right path, because hollering to your own understanding, again, it brings destruction.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models.